Greetings, everybody. I'm Ananda Shakti, and this is the Quantum Awakening session. I'm going to offer a live transmission. I start off with a technique that's called light weaving, which is moving of energy. And by watching the light weaving, because this is the energetic part of the transmission, it will start to move within you patterns of karma that are blocking the fullness of your being. So please enjoy. Now we're going to move into the transmission. You can either keep your eyes open or closed and just be in a receptive state. Take a couple of deep breaths. Set the intention for quantum evolution in your consciousness, the transformation of your karma out of the past into the radiant present and embracing the future. A new time is dawning, dear friends. A new time is dawning, dear friends. It is indeed a new sense of time itself. And so many of you have been feeling this in many different ways. Yet, its reality is becoming stronger, and it will be something that you will need to start to adapt your systems to this new time. This particular awakening of radiant light filled with the silence of truth will begin to show to you this new sense of time in a much deeper way. And here we use this word quantum because it represents something that can change in a very quick and fast and effortless way. And yet understand this is a modern word, yet has lived for eternity. And it is indeed what is meant when it is spoken in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye is the quantum awakening. And within this quantum reality of time, within the blink of your eye, beloved children of the light, lives a new knowing of self, where you will embrace your eternal self simultaneously with seeing the 3 dimensions and beyond versions, and they are different in different realms of the way that the clock ticks. Yet the clicking of the clock has a completely different effect when it is merged in a divine union with your eternal nature. Your eternal nature is primarily found in silence, in stillness, in the moment that lives between moments, in the personal invitation to discover that moment between your breaths, the breath being the vehicle that brings you into this incarnation and the one that must cease for you to leave this incarnation. Finding the moment between them. Finding the moment between each moment. And to allow yourself to drop into the nectar of silence. And yes, the taste when you begin this process may be quite bitter as it pulls up from you things long hidden. But understand that you do not need to do anything with that bitterness that rises, except for to stay in the silence itself. For the silence itself is the medicine of this time. And it is a nectar. It will reacquaint you and acquaint you anew with the experience of time that lives within you, that is eternal. And as you allow that eternal time line to rise up within, the ticking clock will have a completely new meaning. Time will broaden, and yet it will feel like it's getting faster. And the reason for its quickening is because it is becoming less and less relevant. And so therefore, it does not need to linger any longer. Its invitation to stay is becoming complete. And so we come to you to invite you into the nectar of silence that lives within. And we are there to assist you to cultivate the forbearance, to stay within it long enough to begin to taste that eternal self. So please, as you find the way that suits you to embrace the nectar of silence, call our presence, for we will be there in a blink of an eye. We bring you all love and all blessings, beloved children of the light. Greetings, friends. I'm Anandasini Shakti. And wow, okay, let's take a deeper look at that transmission. First of all, I want to acknowledge that I have been not online as often as I usually am. I've been in India adventuring. I've been to the Maha Kumbh Mela, which is that great gathering of 450 million people, spiritual aspirants coming together in a very important astrological moment in time. It lasts over 2 months. And although I don't believe that one needs to be in a particular place to be able to receive the blessings of the cosmos when they open up, I think that we can get them wherever we are. It's a matter of opening our heart. It is really an undescribable, magnificent experience when so many awakened people come together at the same time. So it was also extremely crowded and many things going on. Basically, every emotion that you could possibly imagine having, you have while you're in that kind of a context. But my biggest takeaway from it was that I was very grateful, very happy that I went, and was really extraordinary to be in that kind of vibration with so many people working. These are practitioners that are spiritual aspirants that are at very high levels of awakening with themselves. So many of them coming together at the same time creates such an incredible crucible of energy in that location, but not just limited to that location, for the greater humanity. And when I arrived at the airport and, the crowds were all coming and I was experiencing what that felt like to me, I started to weep because there was such a feeling of humanitarianism and the desire in people to come together for their own evolution and to benefit the greater good. It was such a beautiful feeling. Absolutely was not without its difficulties and its craziness and its tragedies and all of that. But that was the real essence, the real feeling of it underneath. And then the rest of it, like the stampede that took place that you might have heard about, things like that are all part of humanity's difficulty, humanity's struggle in really sorting out what it means to be a being of light in this human experience, and to be able to act not out of fear, but out of love. And this is our journey here. We could say it's our challenge, but it is not really our challenge. It's actually our innate journey. And the angelic realm come to us to assist us in making it much more conscious and much more graceful than our current conditioning brings into place when we take action. And so this particular transmission that's come through about the new time that is dawning, well, I was at the Kumbh Mela for 3.5 days. It felt like 4 months. And even after the fact, how after the fact, well, you kind of go back into normal time. No. It started to feel like 6 months, 1 year. Felt like I was there for even longer, the more I was away from it. It was an incredible experience of this shifting of time that the angelic realm are speaking about, that's happening, and that all of us are experiencing in different ways. So let's take a deeper look at this, because this is really a very big doorway into what our future is. And they're giving us the skills and the awareness that we need to start opening and stepping into it now, because it's happening now. And to start to learn how to live in a very peaceful, very excited, very inspired way, with time being so different than how we have known it to be our whole lives. So here they say that the new time is dawning, but it is a sense of time that is dawning, and that people are feeling this in so many different ways. And it is something that our systems need to adapt to. So we're going to have to learn how to adapt to this new experience of time. A particular awakening of radiant light filled with the silence of truth will begin to show you the new sense of time in a much deeper way. So there's a particular type of radiant light filled with and this is the key word, silence of truth. So they're welcoming us, excuse me, welcoming us into a deeper place of silence within ourselves in an internal way, so that we are like moving aside all of the very noisy patterns that we have, but also as a practical application, spending more time in inner silence, because there are certain things that when we're transiting from more subtle, like from 3D into more subtle realms, 5D and beyond, that require silence as like the bridge between the two of them, requires a place where we agree to relax our minds and our emotions and to step into that, that pause that takes place. For instance, if you're doing breath work, if you retain your breath at the end of the inhale or at the exhale, you find that pause moment. In that pause moment is where the deepest transformation takes place. And we can find that in a very emotional, psychological, meditative way as well. We don't have to be holding our breath to find it. It's a still point. And that still point is where the greater transformation takes place. And it's where that bridge opens up. So they are inviting us and encouraging us to find our expressions of how we like to step into a deeper state of stillness. They're using the word quantum, they say, but it's really interesting what they say. This is a modern word, but yeah, it's not a modern concept, because really when the Christ speaks about in a blink of an eye, we can have this awakening. We can see reality for what it truly is in its true essence in the blink of an eye. So soft, so gentle, and so quick. This is also our birthright. And this is what quantum awakening is all about. You might blink your eyes a million times a day, and of course we all do, and think, well, it's not happening to me. Yet never create that limitation of the mind. Just be like, oh, I'm learning a new idea about what a blink of an eye means. There is a point in time when the quantum awakening will be that simple, just blinking the eye, closing the eye, so that we're closing to the perception that we are currently looking at and reopening it, and everything is new. And so that happens when that inner silence is activated, because when we close the eye, we connect into that deeper inner silence place. We open the eye, everything is fresh and new. And it can be so fresh and new that we have complete awakening. So we're looking for this, and it's coming closer and closer to us. And just never feel like it's not happening to you. Always understand that you are in an evolutionary experience. And so we have a million blinks a day. Doesn't matter that it doesn't happen in any of those blinks. Each of those blinks is leading to this type of quantum blink of the eye, which is so beautiful, right? It's so graceful. It has such a gentle, soft thing, soft expression to it, instead of this big thunderbolt kind of idea of awakening. A blink of an eye is really what we're looking for. Allowing our heart and our being and our soul to align itself with the most subtle love that there is. And remember, subtlety creates density. So when we look at the elements, it is the element of ether, which is the most subtle element, that is the mother of earth, water, fire, and air. She births them. It's not the other way around. So when we can connect to subtle realities, then we can start to make the deepest transformation in the denser realities. So here we have this opportunity to have a new knowing of self, and that we can embrace the self through all of the conscious dimensions that we have experience in. So it goes, we embrace it here in 3D, it affects all the others. We embrace it in 5D, it affects all the others. It happens somewhat simultaneously. breathing, using the breath exercise and feeling that pausing, that still point in your breath is one of the great ways just to start to educate yourself about where that stillness lies. So taking the deep breath in, pausing, feeling that pause, exhaling before you feel like you're running out of air, because if you, and then, well, that's not going to feel like stillness, right? So you just hold it to that point where, okay, now very gracefully, I release the breath. And then you hold on the other end. And very gracefully, now I take a new breath. So keep it in that very smooth, graceful expression. Just moving it on here. So one of the primary skills to discover this new time beyond the breath is actually to invite it in. Remember, we are beings that have been given free will, and free will means that we have choice, and choice means that we need to create permission within ourselves. So invite yourself into the new sense of time and keep inviting yourself. Allow this invitation to remove like all of the old costumes that you're wearing that are from other timelines. And this is exactly what it'll do every time I invite the new time. I invite myself into the new timeline. I invite the new timeline to become who I am. I invite this new sense of time to be there. And I choose to release all other personas of myself that have been my hiding places, that have been the places where I've protected myself. Well, the density was still the prevailing energy. It's not anymore. And we are absolutely safe to drop the old ways and to step into what is new. Allow yourself this eternal time, let it rise up within you. It's going to bring you a new meaning. And as it does the purification, of course, there will be some difficulties. There will be some bitternesses that you taste. The main way to move through these is to understand that they are things that are being released. What I witness in my own personal experience of life, but especially when I'm working with my clients and students, is the tendency to, when something rises up in them, especially when it's been a very big idea in their life, like some kind of trauma or some kind of reaction to a trauma, immediately they want to grab a hold of it, and now they want to create an empowered version of it. So say, for instance, you've been really quiet and shy and haven't been able to speak because of certain things. So the tendency will be to flip the pendulum the other way and to start to just, okay, I'm going to say everything that I think about, everything that I feel, and all of that. That is one way of moving the energy, but that's not your resting place. That's not where you're really trying to get to. What the angelic realm are giving us is a quantum experience. They're saying, actually, you don't need to create the opposite. What you need to understand is that wounding is a story, and you can drop the whole story, and you will naturally be in a balanced state of whatever that limitation was. So when we swing the pendulum the other way, we're really not in balance yet. And I'm sure you've seen this in yourself and in many others when they're going through process of transformation. Hopefully that imbalance that's created there will then find its way to finally come into the center, but that can take a long time, and it's not necessary. We don't have to go in this pendulum swing anymore. We just have to go, okay, I'm in a state of limitation. I'm in a state of suffering. I don't feel good. I'm dropping the whole story. I can drop the whole story, because anything that is a limitation or anything that is a state of suffering is a karmic story. It is not reality. It's a memory body, a pain body. So we can drop it. We don't have to swing the other way and then finally find our way back again. We just say we drop the whole story. Then what rises within us is a natural state of balance of that which has been out of balance. Making sense? I hope so. So this is what we're looking for. And this will actually quicken our experience forward into that nectar of silence and just letting ourselves have that forbearance of sitting through the difficulty without reacting to it. The difficulties that rise when we're touching into deeper silence are things that are just moving through. So just, initiate that witness consciousness, watch it come out, watch it come out. If it's any kind of suffering or limitation, remind yourself, it does not need to be swung on a pendulum the other way. You can now let it go. It's okay to let it go. In fact, it's more than okay. It's exactly what you came here to do. And then very beautifully, they once again remind us to call their presence to us. They will be with us in a blink of an eye. And I cannot even count how many times I've had that experience of when I'm just, okay, I'm choosing to clear this pattern immediately. It just like everything feels light and open and clear. Sometimes it's very cathartic, sometimes it's very subtle, but it happens just like that. Our position as human beings is simply to remember that grace is with us all the time and wants nothing to do but to help us. It's not true. The old stories of penance, the old stories of punishment, the old stories of, owing and all these kinds of things, of debt, these are not true. These were made out of the old paradigm. It was part of the expression of the old paradigm. Grace actually is just like the sun. I'm sure you've heard this before. The sun rises every day. It shines on everybody the same way. It doesn't matter if you're the worst criminal or you're the great saint. It will shine on you the same way. Grace is like that. If you want it, it is there for you. So never forget, in a blink of an eye, all love that you could ever want is waiting for you. And may bring us this blessing. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here in this journey.
A new time is dawning, dear friends. A new time is dawning, dear friends. And it is indeed a new sense of time itself. So many of you have been feeling this in many different ways. Its reality is becoming stronger, and it is something that your systems will adapt to the new expression of time. A particular awakening of radiant light, filled with the silence of truth, will begin to show you a new sense of time in a much deeper way. We use the word quantum because it represents something that can change in a very quick and fast and effortless way. And although this is a modern word, its reality has lived for eternity, and it is indeed what is meant when it is spoken in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye is the quantum awakening. Within this quantum reality of time, within the blink of your eye, beloved children of the light, lives a new knowing of self, where you will embrace your eternal self, while simultaneously seeing the three dimensions and the ones beyond that differ in different realms in the way the clock ticks. The ticking of the clock has a completely different effect when it is merged in a divine union with your eternal nature. Your eternal nature is primarily found in silence, in stillness, in the moment that lives between moments, in the personal invitation to discover that moment between each breath. The breath being the vehicle that brings you into this incarnation and the one that must cease for you to leave this incarnation. Finding the moment that lives between each breath, finding the moment between each moment is one of the primary skills to discover. This is the invitation, beloved children of the light, for what you are living now is what you are inviting yourself into. The power indeed lives in your hands, your perceptions, your choices, your permissions. And although that may be seemingly hidden or obstructed, the continual invitation to the rising up is the way to remove the shrouds of the hiding places of the magnificent self that you are. Allow yourself to drop into the nectar of silence. And yes, the taste when you begin this process may seem bitter, as it pulls up from things long hidden. But understand that you do not need to do anything with the bitterness that rises except stay in the silence itself. For the silence itself is the medicine of this time. It will reacquaint you and acquaint you anew with the experience of time that lives within you that is eternal. And as you allow that eternal timeline to rise up within, the ticking clock will have a completely new meaning. Time will broaden, yet feel like it's getting faster. And this is the reason for its quickening, because it's becoming less and less relevant. So therefore, it does not need to linger any longer. Its invitation to stay has become complete. We invite you. We come to invite you into this nectar of silence that lives within you. We are there to assist you, to cultivate the forbearance, to stay with the silence long enough to taste the eternal self. As you find the way that suits you to embrace the nectar of silence, call our presence, and we will be there in a blink of an eye. We bring you all love and all blessings, beloved children of the light.